exhaustive effort that takes a lot of people. And, I feel very fortunate to work with a very talented group of men and women. Learn something new every flight, and it's definitely an exciting mission. So thanks for following along, and contact us if you have any questions.
Hi, everyone. I'm Major John Waters, call sign Rain, former F-16 demo pilot for the 2017 through 2019 season, or really half of the 2019 season. I'm excited to be working with EAA for the Spirit of Aviation Week, and I'm joined by several of my really good buddies, all former demo pilots, as we call this panel the flashback panel, but really it's the has-been panel. So before we get rolling into the episode, I'm going to pass it around the room, and we're going to go in reverse order from oldest platform to newest platform. And so FOMO, that's over to you, buddy.
Thanks, Rain. Happy to be here. My name is Captain Greg Hume Powell, call sign FOMO. I was with the Royal Canadian Air Force Snowbirds from 2016 to 2018. 2016 had the honor of coming to Oshkosh and taking part in one of the world's best celebrations of aviation. It was a huge honor to do that, and thanks very much to them for having me on today, as well as to Steph Strickland for organizing this as well. Presently flying for a major airline in Canada, flying the Boeing 787, or trying to in these trying times. But that's the Cole's notes of who I am. Back to you, Rain.
Awesome, thanks. We had Habu, who was a former A-10 demo pilot back in the day, with us, but he had some technical difficulties. He's frozen on all of our screens. You can't see him, but he's got a great smile. He might join us here in a little bit, but until then, next up is LOCO.
Hey, how you guys doing? Thanks for having me this evening. I am Lieutenant Colonel Paul Lopez, call sign LOCO, and I was the 2018 to 2019 F-22 Raptor Demonstration Team commander and pilot. And very similar to FOMO, I had the opportunity to fly a Raptor demonstration as well as the Air Force Heritage Flight Foundation, a Heritage Flight profile at EAA last year, and it was a blast.
Awesome. Thanks, LOCO. And last but not least, flying our newest modern fighter, the F-35 DOJO.
Thanks, Rain. Major Andrew DOJO Olson here. I was F-35 Heritage Flight Team Commander and Pilot in 2018. I got to travel around the world that year with LOCO for one of the epic adventures down to South America. And then between those two seasons, going to 2019, we became a full demo team. So I was F-35 demo pilot in 2019. And also was on the ground there at Oshkosh last year. My first time ever there. Just an absolutely epic time, exceeded every expectation that I had. And now, as you can see, I'm still flying the jet, training the new kids, and training the world's greatest fighter pilots, still at Luke Air Force Base in Phoenix.
Awesome. DOJO, thanks. As we roll into the episode, I'd like to thank Steph Strickland. She herded all the cats that you see on the screen now, which is no easy feat, bringing this all together, as well as EA for hosting this and helping everyone out in some trying times. So I'll go back to 2018 when I was fortunate enough to fly Oshkosh, and Dennis Dunbar asked me if I would open up the show with a flyover for the Monday evening concert. Well, I did that. I made a bunch of noise. It shut the concert down. I thought it was a great arrival. Everyone was really excited. And I've recently learned that I was one-upped by LOCO and DOJO for the 2019 show. with their arrival into Oshkosh. And I'd like to talk a little bit about that. And so, Dojo, I'm going to let you kind of tell the story in LOCO. You can chime in whenever you feel appropriate for this. So how did you guys arrive in style at Oshkosh 2019?
Yeah, so I think it started kind of similar to you, Rain, where it was like, hey, let's join up and let's all fly in together for the concert, which I think we also successfully interrupted our year as well. But we joined up at, I think, 3 or 4 warbirds as well. And we flew in, let everybody else get on the ground. And then I was just coming from Milwaukee or Chicago, one of the two. And we had a left. So Loco and I, for fuel burn down before landing, just decided to just knock out the work there at Oshkosh. And, Loco was landing hard. He's got 70,000 pounds of thrust vectoring out there. So just beat up the pattern a little bit. And I didn't think it was any, it was literally just doing normal pattern work like we do back at home base. And it certainly got a lot of attention and was talked about just trying to keep up with the Loco and the our other 5th gen fighter out there.
Yeah, so that's all it was, just cool pattern work.
Just a little pattern work amongst us,
Yeah, I think every time we get an opportunity to show up to a new location in our single seat fighter jet, we always have to do an aerial site survey, take a look at the aerobatic box, make sure that the corner markers are visual, and then that was our first time flying into Oshkosh, so we had to do a couple of approaches and patterns to just make sure we had the right site picture for landing.
Yeah, no, it's good. And speed's life, so you got to have the afterburner out, getting little knots underneath you. I fully understand.
Sound of freedom never hurts.
Yeah.
So, Habu, I think it looks like you're live and back with us. Can you hear us, Habu? Definitely, maybe not. But when he does come back, I know Habu is on the ground, and having a former demo pilot on the ground watching it, we really get his perspective as far as what really happened. Because, the crowd and the civilians out there, they might just not quite know. So that is one thing I was really happy about with going into Oshkosh. It's cool to go in there, make a bunch of noise, get everyone looking excited about the air show. And it sounds like you guys did exactly that. FOMO, I'm going to leave you out. When you were flying to Oshkosh, you guys had a similar arrival. About the same amount of thrust available in the old Snowbird tutor?
I'm not exactly sure that's true because the old hairdryer engine that we have, J85, it doesn't have even with the all 11 aircraft or 9 aircraft in the demo. I don't think we have nearly as much thrust as one of your jets put together or one of your jets. It sure makes a lot of noise though, so that's the important thing. So when we came into Oshkosh in 2016, we took all 9 of those hairdryer engines. Went right down the runway. Hard not to get distracted by all the number of airplanes there and everything else. But we did our standard snowbird pitch, came back around, and landed, and it was a sight to behold. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think you mentioned like just the number of airplanes that are on the ground. Like for me, that was shocking because doing the flyover on Monday where you're not doing a demo, I was actually able to take a look outside and just see how vast Oshkosh is, the number of camps, planes, everything that is set up. So talk a little bit about that. I mean, I think all of us would agree Oshkosh is like the pinnacle of aviation events. And I was talking about in an earlier episode where that's the one thing I was hounding the schedulers to send me to Oshkosh before I was done with demo. I imagine all of you were similar, but what were some of those first impressions you had either from the air or when you landed at Oshkosh? We can kick it off with Dojo.
Yeah, I mean, it was exceeded everything that I expected and everything that I had been told. So I had never been on the ground there personally myself. So my first time at Oshkosh was landing in the F-35. And I mean, I was just absolutely blown away by not only the number of people there, just the sprawling magnitude that is the footprint of the event, the number of airplanes, the diversity of the airplanes that are out there from all different eras. And flying up initial that evening, I mean, it was kind of getting evening-ish at that point, with the other ACC fighters and warbirds was absolutely an experience that I will never forget. And then getting out of the jet and starting to walk around on the ground, you get the sense that, dude, you could spend 2 months here, still not see everything. It was just the ultimate combination of jets, what kind of felt like Woodstock, camping. It was the perfect. It's the perfect place to be, and I want to go back now that I don't have other air show duties to do, and just be able to take it all in as in and check it all out, because I certainly wasn't able to do all that while we were there.
Yeah, that's one of the things I was looking forward to this year, not flying, but being there, was the fact that I have more time to go around and just check everything out, because it is so vast. Like, there's just not enough time in the day, even if that was your job, is just to go around Oshkosh and explore. There was not enough time to see everything. So an awesome event, and I hope next year life's back to normal and we all can go again. So Loco, what was some of your first impressions from either the air or when you landed at Oshkosh?
It was like just awe-inspiring. Big shout out to Dennis Dunbar and his team. They were such gracious hosts for all of the demo teams while we were there. The A-10 demo team, F-35, myself, and a couple of Warbird pilots flying the Heritage profile, and it was remarkable. Everybody was professional and world-class. And, one of the things I would always say while on the air show circuit was, regardless of your socio-political status, your economic status, your background, where you're from, where you grew up, it doesn't matter, because the thing that brings us all together is our love of aviation. Whether you want to own an airplane, fly an airplane, build airplanes, maintain them, design them, it's pretty awesome. And when you go to Oshkosh, which is, I dub it as the Super Bowl of air shows, they're just bringing in all those different genres of people and professions, and to provide those opportunities for, the next generation of aviators and maintainers to come in there and talk to people who do home built airplanes, people who fly for the military or who fly warbirds. You just have a plethora of individuals all across the spectrum to just get great information from, and everybody was very friendly and very welcoming. It was just a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. And FOMO, I don't want to leave you out, because literally your call sign is FOMO, and that would just be rude. So when you guys landed from up north, what were some of your impressions? He's stonewalling me now. He might have lost him on the internet connection. Everyone's just peeling out of the fight.
I think FOMO would have been like, Rain, as of having the fear of missing out. Oh, here he is.
Yeah, now he's back. FOMO, it's your turn. We were just talking about it.
Oh, nice. I guess the question was, what was my first impressions of Oshkosh, right?
Oh, no, you've been out of it quite a bit. Sorry. I'll rephrase.
Okay, sorry. No worries.
I was going to answer for you.
Thanks. It's probably more entertaining. If you pause yourself, FOMO, then we'll just answer for you for everything.
Perfect. Thanks. Great.
No, I was saying, when you guys landed from up north, what were your impressions there of Oshkosh?
Well, just like the other guys said, Oshkosh is one of those events that, as a pilot growing up in my teens, you've always heard of Oshkosh. You've always known what it is. I've been to many. I grew up going to air shows, but I've never been to the event in North America, the premier aviation event, where the air show itself is just like part of it. There's so much other parts of it. We were, as a whole team, we were super excited to go there, and Oshkosh isn't an event that we get to go to very often, because it's right smack dab in the middle of the summer. And since we're a Canadian team, any air show in Canada takes priority over any American show, even though it's a worldwide event. It still takes priority. So we were able to somehow, the coordinators did some magic and were able to get there for, I think, the first time in, I want to say, 31 years. I can't remember exactly how long it has been, but it was back in the early 80s anyways. So especially to bring our demo, which doesn't have the zoom and boom of all the American demos, as you guys have alluded to. It's nice to bring, as some of the Americans call the aerial ballet, as it were, the more polite and apologetic demo to American soil. So one of our first impressions, I remember, it is almost verboten to speak on the radio when you're coming in, because the only person on the mic is the boss. So because everybody.
It's a cliffhanger.
Almost
I know.
this. Yeah, because everybody's focused on the formation as we're coming in, but I was doing the old lobster eye, trying to look at lead and look outside as well. So my formation flying kind of suffered a tiny bit there, but it was worth it. Such an awesome, cool thing to be a part of, especially being there for almost 5 or 6 days. One of my favorite memories of our arrival there was we parked the jets, and as soon as we got there, our number 10 jet, I think it was number 10 jet, got towed away. I'm like, where is the 10 jet going? And the coordinators said, oh, don't you worry where it's going. I found out afterwards they'd actually towed it to the vintage aircraft display, and they're going to park it there for the entire, since it is, from the early 60s, they parked it there for the entire weekend. And the coordinators, being the big aviation nerds they are, like super nerds, and they won't be angry at me for saying that, I hope, they actually brought red tents to pitch under the wings and camp there for the entire week. So we were at the hotel, the 9 planes were at the hotel, and the coordinators were camping under the wings, taking in the full experience. That was my first impression. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Oshkosh, just an incredible event. Habu, I think you're with us now. I see movement.
Hey, can you guys hear me?
Yep, we knew you'd show up.
Okay, so I hunted around and found the nearest cell phone tower, and I'm parked right underneath it now. It's glorious. It looks like a fake palm tree, but I'm right underneath it, so hopefully I'll have some signal here.
Just getting radiated. Well,
yeah,
we were going to do an introduction for you and then tell your life story, but I figured you might join us. So since you now have joined the fight, can you tell everyone who you are, what you're doing today, what you did in the past a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Lieutenant Colonel Dylan Thorpe. I go by Habu. I was the mighty A-10 East Warthog demo pilot back when they had an East and a West, 2011 and 2012. And then I got resurrected to bring the A-10 demo team back when they restarted it. So I trained Shiv up. That's how I kind of got reconnected into the airshow world. But in between that time, I got out of active duty, joined the Air Force Reserve, and I got hired at Southwest. So I did part-time flying for Southwest and flying A-10s as an instructor in Tucson, Arizona. And now I'm on full-time military orders. So teaching the new guys.
Yeah, that's great. I think one thing, this is something to digress maybe later in the episode, but I like to highlight just how small of an aviation community the military is. So Habu, I think I've told him this, but he probably doesn't remember. But when I was a first assignment instructor pilot, waiting, hopefully going on to the F-16, Habu put me in an A-10 at an air show just because I wanted to check it out. And then DOJO was one of my students when I was a FAPE. So it's just kind of a small world now, seeing where everyone has come back, and like we're just in the beginning of the journey, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, that's one of the coolest things about that. When you get to meet so many people, you have the opportunity to do those kind of things. And sometimes stories like that come back, and it's pretty cool to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. A small world, you just never know. And we're talking earlier today too with Cabo, who saw the F-15 demo when he was like 11 years old, flown by Screech, and then Screech ended up being one of his B Course IPs. So it's a cool thing to bring everyone together and just see how small the community actually is. So I don't know if you heard, we were talking about DOJO and LOCO's arrival at Oshkosh, and we're going to backpedal just a little bit because everyone said it was really impressive, but you being on the ground, wanted to get your take as a demo pilot and a fighter pilot. What really went down?
I think I just got my hearing back from that event about last week, so it's fairly loud. Yeah, I wish I had like a whatever they call it, a decibel meter or something, because it was pretty impressive. It got to the point after the 6th to 9th passes that guys were starting to hold up hand signals and numbers, and guys were getting grades, holding up a 9.8. So I don't recall if it was a draw, too close to call, or what, but it was definitely an impressive display of air power.
That's awesome. Well, we'll kind of transition. One of the big things EAA and Oshkosh is all about is connecting the military and civilians and vice versa, and the two different aviation worlds and how we're all kind of interconnected. And so I do have a video that Oshkosh wants to show. And so we'll kick over to that now and take a look and see.
I definitely got that in my mouth. Also, it was hot, which makes sense. Freedom dust. Steph, you're my new best friend.
Yay! I'm so glad. Did you have a nice time?
That was amazing.
Good, good.
Holy
Oh, that was awesome. So that's Super Aero, and definitely got the quite the behind the scenes tour there with Steph. Dojo, it looks like you gave him quite the face full of America there. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, that day, first of all, it was super hot. And I was departing for Milwaukee airborne from after our Heritage Flight profile. So we had a full load of gas. And kind of rookie mistake, I started up, taxied out, started going, and the act before us was like an hour behind schedule. And the act before us was like the Warbird tribute or whatever. It was like literally like 200 Warbirds were all airborne at the same time. So after waiting about 10, 20 minutes, we were like, okay, we're just going to shut down. Well, where we shut down, the weight of the jet started sinking into the pavement, making little divots under the wheels, basically, which we didn't know about until we started back up. And then I push up the power to normal taxi power, and I'm not moving. And I realized that the jets are kind of sunk into the pavement a little bit. And then more and more power is required to get out of that little divot that we're in. And yeah, whoever was back there was getting, all 43,000 pounds of thrust of the Pratt 135 motor back there. So that's basically what was going on there on the taxi out.
That's pretty wild. I remember they put plywood underneath the jets when I was there, but we,
They
your
did,
scenario.
yeah, and they did. Yeah, absolutely. They did for us as well, but we had taxied off the spot, getting ready to go, and then ended up shutting down for just a really short period of time, like maybe 20, 30 minutes to shut down, but that's all it took to start to wheels into the pavement.
Yeah, and that's one of the weird things about doing demo. You go to all these different spots, and every environment is different. Every airport, it's not meant to have a fighter aircraft taxiing around or operating. So these are one of those things that make demo kind of unique. I definitely have a few stories. I'm sure we all have a few stories of different spots we were at that wasn't quite exactly what we anticipated. I always found myself either taxiing with a wheel right on the edge of the taxiway or the apron to park the jet. And the F-16, you're worried about that big intake just sucking up foreign object debris and things like that. So did anyone have any crazy stories of their demo time? They got put in some kind of spot where they didn't know if it was going to end well or not?
I definitely would say that going to say I definitely did a lot of really slow taxi-ins at some pretty small airports. You know, the A-10, we only need a 5,000-foot runway. So we get shows at some of these smaller municipal airports where it's a mom and pop kind of FBO, and, you know, you're taxiing in, and it's you really count on the crew chiefs to take care of you at that point.
Yeah, no joke. And again, it's just one of those things that's unique about demo. We're taking these fighters all across the country and really the world, and you can find yourself in some interesting scenarios really quickly. But going back to the video, LOCO, I saw a bunch of gang symbols. So we don't call them that, but all the different hand symbols we throw out there. You had all the Thunderbird symbols you were throwing out there, which is kind of impressive that you know all those. But yeah, was that the Thunderbirds, or did you make up all that?
Well, hey, I mean, what do they say? Don't kiss and tell. So no, but seriously, like last year I had the opportunity to spend some time with the United States Air Force Thunderbirds, the Blue Angels, as well as the Canadian Snowbirds during my first year on the team, and it was just pretty cool getting a chance to kind of interact with the pilots. You know, because at the end of the day, we're all military aviators. You know, kind of serving our countries, wearing the green flight suit. And it was just humbling that they took the time to kind of, you know, invite me in and share with me, you know, their warrior signs, you know, from number 1 all the way to the last Thunderbird. And, you know, as a tribute to them and just as a sign of respect, you know, I try to, you know, keep people on the ground, keep them motivated, try to engage with them. So anytime I'm taxiing, you know, when I'm at a safe speed, I'm not going to hit anything. I like to look around the cockpit, look at the crowd, and I try to focus in on people that are looking at me. That way I can wave at them, give them a dab, a strong arm pose or something, or, you know, let them know we're rolling and the shark or baby shark, you know. So it's just a way to kind of keep the crowd engaged. And it was pretty cool that was caught on camera. And, you know, big shout out to the security force defenders that were kind of out there watching the military assets during Oshkosh. You know, they're out there 24/7, 365, you know, rain, hot, snow, whatever the conditions are, you know, they're out there to keep us safe, and to all the other security people out there. But yeah, it's just always cool being a part of the ground show.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good point too. I've said it before, but I think for an F-16, and I imagine it's the same for most fighters, anytime you hop in the cockpit, especially like a combat sortie, there's 750 other airmen that are standing behind you, from the defenders, the ones that chow hall, maintainers, logistics. It's a huge effort in order to make all this happen. So it definitely would not be possible without a huge team coming together to push forward and make everything come together. So it's always fun to energize those guys. And I think that's what's cool about the demo, especially the maintainers. They see the immediate impact of their effort, right? If the jet breaks, they know it right away. And if it's a successful demo, they get that instant feedback there. So I want to go over to Habu because we haven't heard from him in just a minute. But Habu, back to Oshkosh. You've been there several times, both as a spectator as well as you flew Oshkosh, correct?
No, actually, I did not fly Oshkosh, and it was an interesting story behind that because I was assigned to fly it through the aerial events, but the West Coast demo pilot at the time was from the area and had been going since he was a little kid. It was like his lifelong dream to fly. So he called and begged and pleaded to switch shows with me. And I, you know, as much as I wanted to go, I wasn't going to rob him of that opportunity. You know, his whole family was there, and he got to do it. This was when it was heritage flight only with Beer Can Collier. But yeah, he called me and asked to switch, and I was dying to go. And part of the reason that I ended up going last year with Shiv was that I told him, I said, hey, the only one I want to, you know, as a price for training you, the only thing I ask is you got to take me to Oshkosh, because I didn't get a chance to go. So I ended up going on his wing. And the cool part about it, since I was previously heritage flight qualified, I was still qualified to fly in with the Mustang. So that was pretty cool. So our arrival wasn't nearly as loud, but we came up initial with the 2 Mustangs. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. And again, there's another episode out there talking about the demo pilots. We talked about safety observers, which I alluded to. Most of the safety observers are young wingmen. And you're the one exception, which is pretty cool because you're not only a lieutenant colonel reservist, have every kind of qualification in the A-10, but you were a former demo pilot and you're out there with Shiv and soon to be his replacement out there being a safety observer. Can you talk a little bit about the safety observer role and the importance of that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, that was a program that was not always there. They used to have the other pilot would come in and do the narration, and for safety reasons, they added that as a safety observer, and it was a pretty demanding qualification as far as getting trained up for it. There was a lot, really a lot to it. Initially, when I was the demo pilot, I thought it was a little bit of overkill. And as I got out on the road, I realized that having a core group of pilots who understand the air show environment and the profile really well, you can't just pick a new guy out of the squadron every week to come be the safety observer. So, and I think for me, knowing the way the air shows went, having a rapport with some of the air bosses and the announcers was pretty helpful. But it's also a really good opportunity for some of the younger lieutenants to get out there and do that as well. So there's a good mix. I wouldn't recommend having all crusty lieutenant colonels as safety observers by any means, but because what I did notice is that over the years since I did it, I lost some energy. I was like, man, it's getting tired at the end of these days. Out in the sun, I felt like when I was the demo guy, I could do it all day long, and by the time I was safety observing with Shiv, I'm like, man, I think I lost a step here. So
just old and broken, just
yeah, sure. 1,000 hours in a ejection seat since then. So it's been, that takes a little toll on you.
Yeah, no kidding. Oh, FOMO, over to you, man. What was the highlight of your EAA experience?
The highlight obviously, besides flying the demo, the 3 shows we did there were some of our best shows of the entire year. So we've all flown demos. Some shows go well. Some shows have parts we want to improve on. Ours have a lot of moving parts, literally. So we put on 3 of some of our best shows there. And the one highlight that I have that I always tell people about Oshkosh is that after, I think it was a Saturday show, we went to the autograph line. It was just a fence line, which is my favorite way of doing it. And all the questions we got there from the people were intelligent questions. I was number 6 at the time, which is outer right wing. There's not many people in the world who get to fly on the outside of a 9-ship formation. So we do something called the line abreast roll and loop, or the line abreast combo. It is, before I joined the team, even as a pilot, I didn't know how hard that was to fly line abreast off of 4 other airplanes with 8 feet spacing, or trying to keep 8 feet spacing between wingtips. For those of you guys who have flown formation, which is all you guys, line abreast flying, if you have done it, it is very, very challenging due to all the due to no references whatsoever. I had a guy come up to me, and it was the only time I've ever heard somebody ask me about the LA combo, and I was so excited, because usually people are asking, "Oh, are you guys the guys doing this?" And I was able to be that. I was a solo for the last 2 years, so I won't badmouth that, because that was great. But I had one guy ask me, "Who's the guy on the right side of that line abreast roll?" I'm like, and I think I grabbed him by his ears. I'm like, "Thank you. You don't understand how hard that is. Thank you." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's amazing." And I was like, "Can we hang out later or something? Like, for beer? Maybe I can tell you about it," because no one has ever asked me about it. So what I'm trying to get at is that the big difference between Oshkosh and all the air shows is that the audience, they're pilots, and they're educated. They understand how hard it is to do what we do, and how much training it requires to do it. So to perform in front of an educated audience, it was one of the highlights of that show for me.
Oh, very cool. All right, transitioning to what we're kind of doing nowadays. This is something that I don't think a lot of people realize, that demo is really just a short stint for any military aviator in their career. Air Force is different than Navy and vice versa. But for us, we all spend a short 1 to 3 years as a demo pilot, and then we transition on. Unless you're Habu, who stays attached to the demo team like the entire time, which is awesome. But for most of us, we're off doing different things, and Habu is doing different things as well. So I do want to lead in with DOJO. So you passed the torch for the F-35. You stood the F-35 demo up, did a year, and then passed the torch. What does the day in the life of DOJO look like these days?
Yeah, so I mean, I'm lucky enough to get to fly the F-35 most days of the week. Haven't changed bases, still at Luke Air Force Base, which I really enjoy being there. And our mission at Luke is to train the world's greatest fighter pilots. And when we say the world, I mean, we literally mean fighter pilots from all over the world are at Luke Air Force Base flying F-35s and F-16s as well. But one of the unique things about the F-35 is that it's a multi-service, multinationality platform. So right now, for instance, I'm in a squadron that's half U.S. and half Dutch. So I got a bunch of guys from the Netherlands that we fly with every day. I fly jets some days of the week with that are owned by the Dutch government with Dutch markings on them, and they fly ours, and vice versa. I've flown in U.S. Australian squadrons at Luke as well. But really, our mission is to train you guys how to fly the airplane, and it's not just flying it around or doing loops or takeoffs and landings. Really, that all happens in the first 4 to 5 sorties. And then the remaining 35 to 40 sorties in the program is about teaching people how to kill and survive in what ultimately is a weapon system to go out there and do our nation's bidding should they be called on to do so. And it's super rewarding to do that, to take a brand new lieutenant who's flown nothing but the T6 and T-38 before, and then by the end of the program, see them performing at a level in the F-35 that I may not have even have been at by the end of my Strike Eagle time. And that's just a testament to how great the training is and how really incredible the jet is as well. But I mean, they're out there commanding lanes of airspace as lieutenants. So we have those guys coming through, and then we also have guys like me that transition from 4th generation aircraft into the F-35, and we train them up really quick in 4 to 5 months on how to fly the F-35, and then turn them right around and make them instructors. So that's a slightly different course. It's equally rewarding. And then we got all the way up to colonels and generals in the Air Force that come on through just to learn how to fly the latest and greatest, and then go out and take command of a wing somewhere, or do whatever important things that they do at that level. So it's a really rewarding job. It's super fun to fly the airplane every day. And it's I just feel a responsibility to pass on all the lessons learned from my time in tactical aviation and just also my time in the F-35. So really enjoying it, and lucky to do it.
Very cool. How many students have you guys put through as just new B coursers? And for those listening, again, that's brand new pilots right out of pilot training versus a previously qualified fighter pilot in the A-10 or F-16 that's transitioning through. What's the difference?
Yeah, I mean, many. I don't have the exact answer, but I mean, we've been doing it now. We've been at it for 3 years, and every 6 months we got a new class that comes out, and that's just in one squadron. We have 4 FTU squadrons at Luke now. So in total, almost 100 F-35s on the ground at Luke Air Force Base, just to train students, not only American airmen, but students from around the world. But we have sent, I don't know, I would guess probably closing in on 100 lieutenants by this point up to Hill, and now they're starting to filter into Eielson Air Force Base as the second operational fighter wing for the F-35. So huge flow of students that come through there. Yeah.
I cannot imagine how loud that ramp is at Luke. It's going to be so loud.
Yeah, I mean, it never gets old walking out there. It's so much energy. I mean, I went out this morning on a 10 jet go. So we had, and all 10 of us, because the jets are new and pristine and perfect. Of course, we all start and taxi ahead of schedule because nothing ever breaks on the jets. And so all 10 jets just head out to the EOR, and then we all fly down to the Southern Ranges together, and we all come back together, and everything works like clockwork. And I mean, we're lucky to be flying these epic airplanes. I mean, they're beautiful, they're brand new, everything works. And but yeah, it's a lot of energy on the ramp when everybody's motors are running out there, and it's hot. I mean, it's 115 just regular, and then you're on the ramp, the black tarmac out there, and then the jet wash from all the jets out there. So it gets really warm.
Yeah, I mean, Habu, similar situation, still have the new car smell and the old hog, but you're doing a mix of that and some airline flying today. But yeah, I know you alluded to it at the beginning, but a little bit more of exactly what you're doing today, what your transition was like out of the demo world and what you did after that.
Yeah, absolutely. So, like I said, I was right in that sequestration area where we stood down the demo teams, and then we had just only the heritage flight teams, which FOMO, I can relate. And I was going to bring up the difficulty and the difference of flying a demo single ship versus flying formation like we do in the heritage flight. It's a completely different skill set, and one that's a lot more finesse and difficult. So I would love to hear some more about the line abreast role as well. But for me, anyway, getting back on topic was after leaving Moody Air Force Base in Valdosta, Georgia, I went to Korea, and I had a staff job there, and I was lucky enough to get a billet where I was still allowed to fly. So I flew with the Dragons in the 25th Fighter Squadron, the A-10 unit there. I worked in the Air Operations Center, but I remained current and qualified as an instructor pilot. So I went there for a year, and I liked it so much. And also due to sequestration at the time, a lot of the home station flying was really being cut back, but Korea was being fully funded to fly, just being so close to the northern border there. And so I was flying more as a staff officer in Korea than some of the frontline guys were back home at the time. So I extended a year. So I did 2 years in Korea, and then I came back to Davis-Monthan to the home of the A-10 to the FTU. I was the ops officer there, so I was second in charge of the squadron. Super rewarding job. But then I was staring a non-flying assignment after that. And just based on where things were with the A-10, a little bit of uncertainty in the future of the A-10 at the time, I was a little bit hesitant to volunteer to come out, because I knew by the time it would be time for me to come back into the flying world that, the A-10 may not be there. And it may be tough for me to, as an old crusty guy, to learn the new tricks of the F-35. So I elected to get out of active duty right there and just move down the street to the reserve unit. So Davis-Monthan, they've got an active duty training unit and a reserve training unit, 2 separate squadrons. So I was doing the same job in the same airspace. We actually share the airspace with DOJO out there. So when he's out flying in the ranges out there, I'm usually underneath, and I'll hear him on the radio once in a while. I give him a couple mic clicks. So we're pretty fortunate, the training area that we have here in Southern Arizona.
That's great. FOMO, what are you up to these days?
Well, just like a lot of other people, I've as of January 2019, I left we call it the regular force in Canada, which is the same as your active duty. Left that, went right into the reserves though, to stay in the reserves and stay active, because I love serving my country. But I got a job with Air Canada, and I got a job flying international flights. So it's polar opposite to what I was doing, from formation flying, precision aerobatics, to straight and level. I'm sure, Randy, you know about that. Long haul stuff. So going, it's got my 787 has a bit longer legs than the 300 nautical mile legs of the Tudor. So it's a lot different, but it's exciting nonetheless. What's really great is my airplane still has a maple leaf on it, so I get to still represent my country around the world. But the other thing that I'm getting into as well is my demo days may not be over, actually. So I've joined the a Pitt Special Aerobatic Team headed by my friend Brent Handy and Todd Farrell, called the Northern Stars Aero Team. Right now, it's a 2-plane precision formation aerobatics team with 2 Pitt Specials, and we're looking to grow that. So I just started my training here in Canada a couple of weeks ago, actually. I was going to go down to the States and do some flying with Bill Finnegan, but the border is closed, unfortunately. So I'm kind of doing my training up here with him instead. We'll kind of we want you guys down in Las Vegas for ICAS. We'll see how she goes.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that. Yeah. If everything goes as planned and the world gets back to normal next year, do you have any idea how many air shows you're going to fly?
I don't know yet. We'll kind of see. We're kind of experimenting to see what the actual air show plan is going to look like. As we all know, this whole year is a bit of a write-off, unfortunately. So we'll see how the shows look next year. A lot of it depends on what's happening with my primary job as well. But maybe my performing days at Oshkosh aren't over. So if they're listening, Northern Stars Aero Team.
Not a shameless plug at all. Yeah, take it when you get it. LOCO, man, how are you?
If we're doing that, I got to say I got checked out in the L-39 by Lee Lauterbach, so I'm for hire as well,
You guys have business cards. You can, like, sit those in.
Right.
I'm gonna get
Man,
Dunbar.
thanks.
We can hit on this too. Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Man, I didn't know this was. I didn't know this was going to be a recruiting job fair. I would have brought my resume.
Hey, you gotta be prepared at all times, right?
That's right.
I'm about to send him an email right now.
LOCO, what are you up to these days?
Yeah. So I'd be remiss if I didn't just kind of say that I definitely miss the airshow world. You know, I miss the airshow family. I miss hanging out with our fellow performers. I think it's pretty cool. What Rob Ryder would always say is that it's pretty cool when your heroes become your friends. I mean, I grew up watching, you know, some of these performers, these men and women just do some phenomenal feats with these airplanes and, you know, just inspire the next generation of aviators. And here I am, you know, having been fortunate to have been able to do that for 2 years. So I definitely miss interacting with the staff, the sponsors, the volunteers, and, you know, the heroes who we share the stage with. But as far as for me, I'm back in the shadows flying tactical aviation in the first fighter wing here at Joint Base Langley Eustis in Hampton, Virginia. Dojo, nice job throwing out the mission. You know, the mission here at Langley is to provide F-22 air power on short notice for any type of command commander taskings, you know, and it's just pretty cool being back in the tactical realm as an instructor pilot, teaching the next generation fighter pilots in the Raptor, as well as sharpening the sword with flying against my peers, and then also learning from, you know, some of the leaders who in the wing who fly with us. So it's just pretty cool being back helping out with the mission. As far as what's next for me, right now I'm in the middle of a move. I'm getting ready to go out to Hawaii and be a part of the Hawaiian Rappers and, you know, continue the mission out there in the Indo-PACOM area responsibility.
Thanks for your service. That's a tough deal.
Yeah,
I know you're welcome. I know it's a hardship tour, but my application is coming, FOMO and Habu.
Sounds good.
Oh, that's great. That's hitting on one point too. For all the ACC demo pilots, even though they're a demo pilot and that's the primary role, every demo pilot's combat coded and combat mission ready. There'll obviously be a little bit of spin up to knock off the rust and things like that, but the job is to be able to go out there and do the mission, whatever that jet's primary role is or secondary role might be. So, Habu, I know they found some footage of you. I haven't seen it yet, but I'm definitely going to be judging it for the mustache. But it's you from a deployment to Afghanistan. And so you can kind of talk a little bit about what it means to be deployed, going, oh, man, there's no mustache. But what it means to be deployed and go out there and serve your country.
Yeah, I think they caught me early in that deployment based on the lack of mustache there. But just to tie the demo to the regular squadron stuff, I think that we get chosen to go out there and represent all those guys, as LOCO said, in the shadows, you know, because a lot of times we go to and from the base and the public doesn't get to see that. So I always thought of myself as kind of representing those guys and, you know, and the maintainers representing all that as well. And I was very, always made a point to recognize that, hey, while we're flying this air show and we're getting treated well and everybody's having a good time, there was always an A-10 squadron. The entire time I was there were always A-10s in the air somewhere in a combat mission. So I used to bring that up quite a bit. And, you know, I think that as much as the air show family and the air show experience was important to me, flying in combat with a guy is something that's, I would even say, a half a step above that. Those are things that you'll just never forget. You know, when you're out at 3 a.m. in the mountains over Afghanistan with one other guy, you know, it's something that you kind of remember. You know, sometimes, and it wasn't always a lot of activity, and you're by yourself in the jet, but you got the wingman with you. I remember having some conversations on the aft radio. You know, just talking to each other, trying to keep each other awake and alert, and getting to know each other. So that was of all the part of flying in combat, it was the kind of the forged brotherhood of flying with different guys, and the excitement of sometimes guys coming back and telling you a story of who they helped or what happened to them. And, you know, we would, if something really exciting was going on, you'd get guys gathering around watching the videotape of, maybe a convoy that got attacked and then being able to help them and get them out of trouble, things like that. It was, we all were really supportive of each other and helpful to get each other through that 6-month deployment,
Yeah, I think that's something I know people ask me on the road, like, hey, how do you become a demo pilot? I want to join and be a demo pilot. That was one of the things explaining is I don't think, and I can make some assumptions, none of us joined to be a demo pilot. It's just something that happened. And it was right place, right time, and it was the right fit for us. But I know, I joined September 11th was a big deal for me and a big catalyst for me joining the military. We each have our own stories of why we did that. But demo is not something to join the Air Force for. It's going out there and doing a mission and making this country and our allies safer, protecting the freedoms that we love. Other than Dojo's hair, I think Dojo's hair did join the Air Force for demo because that's amazing hair.
Hey, Ray, just to pile on to that, I think, sometimes I'm sure all of you guys got a little bit of ribbing from the guys in the squadron. Oh yeah, there you go on the, the boondoggle demo stuff again. But it's important to realize that it's a crucial mission. And I would tell those guys, I always tried to, when I got a chance to fly tactical missions with them, I made a point to do that, even if it meant coming in to fly on a day that I might have normally been off in between shows. I felt like I wanted to keep touch and keep perspective with those guys. And also, it's one of those things where this mission of inspiring the next generation is vitally important. And every single one of us probably had an air show as a child that inspired us to join the military. And there's kids out there from 2011 that are probably looking at joining in the military and want to fly planes now because they were at Oshkosh and saw this or saw that. So it is a very important mission. And I think sometimes as much as it's a close family and it's a lot of fun, it is something that, no Fortune 500 company is successful without advertising. And we get sent out there on the front lines of that to advertise, to get the new, the best and the brightest. And even if we're not short on recruiting and we get plenty of members in the military, we always want to bring up the competition, right? So if we have more people trying to get in and be pilots than we could possibly take, we get a chance to pick the best and the brightest out of that. So I think I always talk to people about how important the demo mission is.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a vital mission. And my job now in the reserves is recruiting. And that's a big aspect of what we look at is the number of people that once had a direct family member that served was around half, 50% of Americans. And now that number is sub 20%. So getting out there and increasing the awareness is absolutely an important mission, and demos a phenomenal way to go out there and do that. We are getting close towards the end of our time. So I want to go around the room one more time and just everyone kind of give a parting shot as far as, I guess, the highlight of their demo career and what they miss most about it. So LOCO, over to you, buddy.
Man, wow. I thought I was going to go last to collect my thoughts, but
Jen, lead the way.
Wow, I would just say that I'm just honored and humbled that, the United States Air Force and the F-22 Raptor community leadership gave me the opportunity to kind of represent the air dominance community, and go out there to help recruit, retain, inspire the next generation of airmen, aviators, and maintainers for the military, as well as to enhance international as well as domestic community relations. And I'll never take it for granted. The experience was priceless, and one of the things that I'll truly miss will be not only flying. I think the flying was cool. That was probably like 20% job. But I think a lot of the job was all about the people-to-people interaction. Enhancing our international partnerships. Talking to the Canadian snowbirds, getting to know FOMO at the Toronto Air Show, and how he gave me a one of those like laundry pods at the Cold Lake Air Show. Remember that, FOMO? I think we exchanged a coin there too for that one. And then how we were in the cockpit together and flying around in the Tudor. I mean, just some once in a lifetime experiences that I've had. And one parting shot that I would leave for people that, that want to come into the military or that want to be a part of the airshow family is that just never give up. Let somebody know what your goals and aspirations are. Find a way to get connected by going to your local fixed base operations at an airport, tell them that you want to volunteer, you want to be around airplanes, you want to work on airplanes and fly airplanes, and I guarantee you that there's somebody out there that's going to see that potential within you, and they're going to provide an opportunity for you to be successful. But it's been an honor knowing all you guys. Look forward to staying in touch.
Yeah, likewise. FOMO from up north.
Yeah, man. Similar to LOCO, man. To be honest, one of the best parts of this job, as all you guys can attest, is going coast to coast. In my case, to coast. Well, I guess you guys are the Gulf of Mexico as well. So all the coasts, meeting Canadians, Americans, and flying the demo. So flying the demo, as already mentioned, that's about 20% of the joy of it. But the rest of it is getting to meet all these people from different walks of life. I have done air shows, as I'm sure all you guys have had. In front of 300,000 people. We've done air shows in Canada with in front of maybe 150 people. So it's such a tiny town called Flin Flon, which you guys will have to Google, I'm sure. So you get to bring the demo to Canadians and Americans all over the continent. The inspiration piece is absolutely massive as well. So that's staying true to my call sign of fear of missing out. That's one of the reasons why I want to go back and keep doing the job. So, and I'm lucky to be able to have that opportunity, to have the friends and the resources to be able to do that sort of thing. One of the things that I'll miss the most, as LOCO already talked about, is flying with all of my friends and people that I respect so highly. I have the good fortune to be flying a jet that has 2 seats. So it's very easy for us to take other performers up. I took Rain, took LOCO up. We went for professional exchange down in Pensacola with the Blue Angels. I flew with Feedback. I flew with their boss. They flew with me, I should say. I flew with Feed as well. So that was an experience in itself. I think we were both laughing the entire time. So you make lifelong friends in this job because we all have the same passion that brings us all together to inspire the public and keep doing what we're doing and serve the country. So that's what I'll miss the most.
Dojo, what's the one thing you'll miss the most about the demo?
I'll miss the people. I mean, I know that's the standard answer, but it's the truth. It's you guys, it's the fans on the road, and it's the airshow family and community. I just found the airshow community, the fellow performers out there, and then everybody that has a hand in everything, the event organizers, the air bosses, the narrators, all of them to be so welcoming and open to having you be a part of the family. And they have this really keen ability to be able to make you feel like you've been part of the family forever and that you'll be a part of the family forever, even though kind of the secret that we all know is that, this is a 2-year thing for us and then we're on to something else, and that's just the nature of military assignments. But I was always so grateful and thankful that on the road that's how everybody made us feel, and you form those bonds with everybody. And some of my best flying memories is flying with the people right here on the screen, flying with McLovin and on the Snowbirds, and then Rain getting to fly with you after you and I being a couple of lieutenants together in T6s, and we've talked before, but if somebody had said back in, when I was second lieutenant, you were a first lieutenant in the T6, that we'd be demo pilots and Vipers and F-35s, I would have never believed them. I remember watching videos at Max Mogo when I was in college in ROTC, and then to be in a similar shoes of him, of standing up the demo in a new jet. I just am so grateful and humbled to have had these opportunities to fly with all you guys, be a part of the airshow community and airshow family for the couple years that I was able to be a part of it for. And I'm just going to miss that. I'm going to miss the reciprocal energy that is interacting with the crowd, where they're excited by watching you and seeing your jet and seeing the amazing airmen that are on our teams. And then in turn, you get excited and re-energized by their energy. And it's just this kind of force flow back and forth between two people that I just thought was really special. And, at the end of the day, I think one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got was from Habu. And that it was just to remember that even though, I think for most of us, our time on the circuit, we got a lot of individual accolades, but at the end of the day, it was never about us. We were just bodies in this suit. fully replaceable. Anybody could fly the jet. Everybody flies a jet exactly like we do. We just do it close to the ground in front of the crowd. And that really keeps you grounded, and so I just appreciated the opportunity to be that body in that suit, inspire the next generation and even just the current generation out there to live their best life. And if that's in the military, great. And if not, I hope you go out and do something amazing.
That's perfect. I would ask Habu what he misses about it, but since he's still doing the demo, it's not applicable.
Well, I'm not actually. So I kind of hung it up last year. Once Shiv went into his third year, I figured, I don't know, he's done more of it than I ever did now. So, kind of a moot point for me to follow him around and make sure he was doing all right. But yeah, I would say the same thing. The one thing that I had the opportunity to do, and when Rain says, "Hey, I'll miss the people," what I realized is after taking a little break that I stayed connected with a lot of those people, and it was really cool. The people that you don't necessarily talk to, that you can run into them, and it's like you saw them last week, And so that's one thing that's really cool about the closeness of that. But what I really miss is, to me, I used to love to go up to the snow fence there and high five little kids after the show, and they see me still in my gear. They know that, hey, the guy that was flipping around in that airplane right here is now right here giving me a high five, and just the way their eyes would light up, it was pretty cool to get to do that. And I do have to say, I have a little bit of jealousy of those guys with more than one seat in their airplane, because I would give almost anything to take somebody up in an A-10. Unfortunately, that obviously that's not a possibility, but it's something pretty cool to share that with somebody firsthand.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was my favorite part in the off season. The fortunate piece. The only time it's ever good to be in a D model is when you can have a maintainer in the back seat and kind of share what their labor is that made all this come together. It was pretty awesome. And with that, we're kind of hitting. We're gonna get the red screen of death for our time. I don't want to put words in anyone's mouth, so to speak, but I do think we would all, if we could shake our maintainers' hands, buy them a beer. I know how grateful we were for them just making it all come together over the years and allowing us to go out there and represent the Air Force. So I think hats off to our maintenance teams that put it all together and made it happen for us. I'd like to thank EAA, Steph Strickland, for bringing this together, especially during these challenging times, and letting us come out and just share a few memories and hopefully brighten everyone's week, or just be a little blip of brightness for their week during this. So stay healthy and stay safe. And again, thanks for joining us. And there's lots of additional content available for EAA Spirit of Aviation Week.
You may know EAA as the host of AirVenture, but we are also a family of 255,000 pilots, builders, and dreamers who support one another and share the spirit of aviation year-round. This week, we invite you to see what we are about. At EAA, we educate and inspire each other 12 months a year through a huge collection of original content, including EAA Sport Aviation Magazine, videos and webinars, blogs and podcasts, social media, and forums. If you're looking for friends who share your passion, look no further than local chapters. Connect with others through social and educational events, aircraft building and restoration, and your journey to becoming a pilot, including all the resources you need. As a member, you'll enjoy free access to more than 400 museums around the world, including our aviation museum right here in Oshkosh. Plus, you'll save on hotel and car rentals, aircraft financing and insurance, and purchases from Ford, John Deere, and more. Through it all, we work tirelessly to protect our members' rights. As your advocate, we make sure your voice is heard on issues like medical and flight test reform and other general aviation concerns. We hope you will consider joining us today. Visit EAA.org